Hey everybody, it's Devin here. Just decided to make a video in regards to what you can do in real estate with a little less money. When I say a little less money, I don't mean hundreds of thousands of dollars. In this video, we'll be covering just something you can do with $50,000, sometimes even less. So yeah, I do get a good amount of questions from people closer to my age, 30s, and even older folks who don't really want to have the time to look at tons of property and get a renter and everything like that, but how can we start investing in it? So one of the answers is pre-sale. So if you don't know what a pre-sale is actually a development, a condo development, townhome development, or even detached development. But for this example, we'll be talking about condo developments that haven't been built yet. So that means when you are going down the highway or down any street and you see those condos that are being built, that is kind of what I'm talking about when I say pre-sale. So it's a great way to get into the market because for many factors, one of which is you don't actually need to get pre-approved or any type of lending for this. So we're talking about not having to go to the bank, dealing with them at all. All you really need is that $50,000 to get started and get a hold of one. So let's take a look of an example of a pre-sale here in Coquitlam and to show you kind of more about it. All right, so let's head over to this site called Buzz Home. It's for pre-sales. And let's go into look for Coquitlam pre-sales. Coquitlam, BC, and then it'll take us to a map. We can see all of Coquitlam here. So let's look more west Coquitlam, closer to United Boulevard. There's a few developments here. We can click on them, see the name, and pinpoints kind of location. So let's look at this one on Brunette. It's called Bastille. The price started from $539. So this is type of the price we want to look at. With the $50,000, we're looking close to about a 10% deposit. Sometimes it can be 5% up front, 5% later, or just 10 right at it. So here's a little bit of a slow load on these photos, but yeah, the first thing we can look at is what the units are going to be looking like. So very, very sleek. So you can see the location, the condo size, the stories, how many bedrooms. You can see the sale status started in May. It's pre-construction. It's actually set to complete in 2024. So it's 2022 right now, 2 years out. Down here, we can see the sales center, where it is if we want to get more information in person, a little more contact information. We scroll down, we see the floor plans. Let's just click one onto here. This is floor plan 418. This should be one unit. Why doesn't it hold? So as we can see a little bit here, the main bedroom, dining room, we get a little idea of what the unit's going to look like. Basic information, square footage of the units. But yeah, that's basically it. So that was just one example of a pre-sale in Coquitlam. There's a ton available, but we just went through that one. Now, picking and choosing which projects to invest in, that's a whole different story. Definitely best to talk to a realtor. They can help decide which is the best locations, builders, contract, down payments. So much more goes into it, but just as a light summary, that is definitely some site you can use to just browse if you're not super serious or just starting off. So I definitely recommend that. It's like a free site, so no problem there. So yeah, let's go into some of the pros and cons of buying pre-sale. So I guess let's start with the pros section. We are buying something that hasn't been built yet, so we're gonna actually not, like I said, having to deal with any mortgage payments. If you aren't working or in school or just don't have enough to have an actual mortgage, you have nothing to pay right now because the condo is going to be built 1, 2, 3, 4 years later. You just paying that initial deposit and that's it. So you have no expenses for the rest of the month or the rest of the years. It's more of a hands-off once you do get the condo. Obviously, you're not the one building it. You're not having to rent it out, deal with insurance, BC Hydro, yada yada, because it's not even built yet. So it is a great investment in that terms, where it's hands off for a few years. Once it comes into moving in or selling it, of course, that's, you know, having back to work. But in between that time, you're really not having to do too much. Possible appreciation. You know, the market's been increasing, as we all have seen. Normally we can see it anywhere between 3+% a year. So we take that 500,000, add 3% as a safe estimate, and see does it get more expensive, meaning when you go to sell, it's more expensive for the next buyer, but you of course capitalize on that. Whereas if you kind of waited 3-4 years, you know, to start building that down payment and everything, without purchasing a pre-sale, it will be more expensive. Yeah, while you have that time, it's time to build your down payment. You know, you paid the 50,000. Now you have time to get ready for the rest of the mortgage payments that you will be paying in the later on when it is built, if you decide to live in it and not just rent it out or sell it. Great things about pre-sale is you also get to customize your units. If you want a 1-bedroom and den, you get to normally pick, you know, the size of the bedrooms, the den, the layout, the color scheme, what floor, if you want electrical EV parking, of course you're picking the location, all of that. It's very more custom, where you can have that when you buy a condo on the market, not pre-sale. However, you're kind of limited to a few things, like you can update appliances, change this and that. But when you do get your pre-sale unit, you really, from the scratch, you get to choose everything. So lots of buyers do like that. And then I guess the last thing is there's a new home warranty, whereas when you move in, if you were to move into the condo, if something breaks down, like the fridge, oven, if the flooring gives way or something like that, or paint starts chipping, small things like that, there is a warranty for those newer homes, and you will get the fridge replaced, the oven replaced, if it's within the warranty. So that's really awesome. So for the con side, the biggest thing is the contract that you actually do sign when you buy a pre-sale. It is heavily favored in terms for the developer, meaning they have lots of outs and they can make changes to your unit almost without permission if it's smaller changes. So that's why definitely contacting a realtor or being very good at understanding the contract from the start is important. If you are planning to sell it before completion because you want it as an investment and you thought in a few years to go up, you do have to pay a small percentage to the developer, normally called an assignment fee. It could be 1% of the purchase price, or more or less. There's possibility that you do have to pay GST, which is an extra 5% on the purchase price. That's definitely a drawback. And then there's also the possibility that the condo project could be delayed or quicker than expected. So if you were planning to move in 2.5 years and it's finished in 2 years, you know, you're kind of stuck within those times and you have to complete on it. Or you really need it in 2 years and it takes 2.5 or 3 years to complete. So, or the absolute worst possibility is they actually cancel it. You know, they can't sell enough listings of the units and they actually have to return the deposit and everything, which would really suck. So there's that possibility. And then I guess the biggest that we've been seeing lately, that I've been seeing lately, is the unit doesn't live up to expectations. You are of course seeing, you're the photos online, you're seeing the floor plan, but as we all know, when we buy something online, sometimes we're not physically there in person. It can be different when it is finished. So sometimes people can have their expectations crushed, but most of the time it's generally good. But definitely there is some times where the color scheme might have been off, the paint, you thought you were getting this special appliance and you were unsure of it. So, but yeah, I would say those are generally the biggest cons for pre-sale. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Of course, if you have any questions on this or anything at all, feel free to just shoot me a text message, email, Instagram, anything, and I can help you out. But thanks so much, and yeah, have a great day, guys.